Hi, everybody. This is Melody LeBaron with Transforming Space, Self and Loss. And I come to you in this Zoom class with Dorothy Tucker and Michelle Doyle. Um, Many of you know that here in Western North Carolina, a month ago, a hurricane did a lot of damage to our landscape, but also to many of our homes and our memorabilia. And Michelle and Dorothy are here with me today to talk about salvaging um, water damaged and mud damaged and mold damaged photos. Michelle Doyle and Dorothy Tucker have been partnering with individuals and families to preserve their memory collections since 2013. Michelle is a professional genealogist and preservation specialist with a passion for linking past, present, and future generations. Dorothy is a mom, grandma, photographer, and creative designer. She recognizes the importance of preserving photos and the memories they hold. Michelle and Dorothy enjoy getting to know their clients through their photos and stories. They understand that every photo collection is unique and needs to be preserved in a way that will be meaningful. Michelle and Dorothy are certified professional photo managers. Michelle has a master's degree in library science and is home movie certified, and Dorothy is a certified forever lead ambassador. So, welcome, Michelle and Dorothy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, Dorothy is my sister. So I am lucky that as a professional organizer, I was scrapbooking before scrapbooking was a thing. But 7 years ago, Dorothy helped me take apart all of those, literally an entire bookshelf full of photo albums and scrapbooks, and digitize all of those memories. And so we're going to dive in. And uh, yeah, I would love to hear not just about how to salvage photos, but also how to preserve them and keep them safe. So I'm going to hand it over to both of you.
All right. Well, I will share my screen and we will get started. All right. So, Michelle, do you want to start it?
Sure. So what we're going to talk about today is saving your water damaged photos, what can be done to save them, and how to preserve them.
And we already talked about us, so we'll skip that
Yeah,
slide.
a little bit about us.
Melody did a great job.
Yes, you did. So what we're probably looking at are the couple different types of photo damage and what can possibly be salvaged. I know the memories are really precious, and I know the photos are important, but as we go through this discussion, we're going to see that sometimes it just might not be possible. So we're going to focus on the things that are possible. So first off is water damage, photos that just were in blood waters or in boxes that have water. They're going to be sticking together. They're going to be warping. Quite possibly there's going to be mold growing on them. And if it's not growing now, it will be growing. Mold follows water inevitably. The second type of damage is mud damage or debris damage, and these can scratch the surface. A photo is made of layers of emulsion, excuse me, and scratching removes some of those layers, and you lose the print, you lose the color, you lose the whatever. So we want to be very careful when we're dealing with muddy photos. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is assess your salvageability. So if it's minor, it's just they're just wet, or you can see there's sort of a thin film of mud on them. Those generally can be salvaged fairly easily. Moderate are going to be warping, they're going to be sticking together, we need to be very gentle when we handle those. Severe damage is going to be mold and deep stain. It's worth trying, but you want to be sure that um, you're being very careful as you handle these. We don't want you to get sick on top of your photos. And many of these will not be salvageable. You won't be able to save them. Okay.
All right. It's not letting me go to the next slide. So, okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so you're going to want to prepare your workspace. Figure out what it is that you need to salvage these photos that can be salvaged. Your safety gear for your own personal safety. You need a mask at the very, very least. If you know that your photos have mold on them, you need a respirator. Your health is not worth risking with to save your photos. You also need plastic gloves, and consider getting a protective suit or just wearing old clothing that you're going to throw away when you're done. And also goggles to protect your eyes. The mold is very serious, and if photos stayed in water for more than 48 hours, there quite possibly is mold. So make sure that you are protected with the gear that will keep you safe. You want to set up a work area with a clean, flat surface with good lighting and ventilation. This work can be done outside, but there's a lot of dust, a lot of pollen, a lot of things in the air that can get on those wet photos. And so working in an area inside with a clean, flat surface and good ventilation is best. And the supplies that you need distilled water, soft cloths, wax paper, tweezers, a soft brush, and then you need either a drying table, so a long flat table with clean newsprint to put down on the table, or you can use a hanging rack. You can just use a clothesline and plastic clothespins for the drying process. And you want to prioritize how you're going to preserve these photos, salvage these photos. So you want to consider how extensive is the damage. As Michelle said, not all the photos are going to be salvageable. If you can see mold on it, it should not be salvaged because you're just going to keep spreading that mold. If you have a copy of it that is not damaged, or if they have already been digitized. If photos have mold on them and you already have a digital copy, it is best to just throw them away. I know it's hard to let go of those tangible memories, but if you already have a digital copy, it's not worth keeping the photos, even if they are just wet. That mold can still grow, even if you can't visibly see the mold. On this page, on this slide, there is a photo that came from Facebook. This album was discovered near Asheville Christian Academy on Old US Highway 70 in Swannanoa after the hurricane. And the person who found the album, it's someone's wedding album, is trying to locate its owner. So if you recognize the people in the picture, please help them locate the owner, because some of these photos are quite possibly salvageable, and those are precious memories.
All right, so to get started, photos are created in the first place in water. If you think about movies you've seen and how they run the negatives through something and they swish photos through water and swish them through chemicals and swish them through water. So as much as it feels very counterintuitive, it's okay to get your photos wet when you have a purpose for it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is soak them in distilled water. Just real careful. Let them sit for a little while to, get damp. And then you may be able to just sort of gently with your fingers or with some tweezers, pull them pull those photos apart, be very careful. You don't want the photo on the bottom sticking to the photo on the top. And if they are stuck, put them back in the water. Let them keep soaking until you're able to pull them apart. Okay.
Okay, and so the next step is to clean off the mud and debris. Once you've got those photos separated, you want to one at a time put them in clean. This can be tap water. It doesn't have to be distilled water because it's going to get dirty quickly and you're going to have to change it frequently. But if you just put each photo in clean tap water just to loosen the mud, and then you want to use a very soft brush, and they make photo brushes to get that debris off. You want to brush them very gently, just in one direction, to avoid scratching as much as possible. That mud and debris has a lot of grit in it, and it's very easy to scratch the surface of a photo. Once you have that debris off and it's a clean photo, you want to swish it again in distilled water. So you're going to have 2 buckets of water or 2 bins of water, one to get the mud off, and then one to swish that clean photo to make sure that every bit of dirt is off of it. And you're going to need to change the water frequently to keep those photos clean, so you don't keep spreading the dirt from one photo to another.
All right, and then to dry the photos, think about the movies and how when they're in the dark rooms and what they're doing with their photos. One possibility is to lay them flat. If you have enough surface area, clean newsprint down, and then very carefully line up the photos next to each other, and they will dry flat. The other possibility is, as you can see in the picture, are hanging by a corner with a plastic clothespin. The plastic's important because the wood will get wet and can damage your photos even farther. So if you're able to string up line and put your photos out, keep them in the shade. Try not to put them where the sun is going to be beating on them. That's not good for them either. And a light breeze is okay, but if the wind is blowing, you don't want to put them out there for that. Now, once they're completely dry, then you can flatten photos under heavy books. Think about like when you press flowers or you press mementos that you have between books. So you're able to stack the photos in the books. Do not stack the photos on top of each other. You just spent however long you just spent to separate them out. So we want to keep them separated. This is also where you may be using the wax paper. Put the wax paper down, put a photo on it, put some wax paper on top, put a book on top of it. It takes a long time, and some of those photos may never completely flatten out. But if you're very careful stacking them and you're very careful with the weights that you're putting on them, most of the photos should be able to flatten out and be at least scannable. Okay. All right, and then your next thing you're going to want to do is scan them. If they're too fragile to go through a high-speed scanner, which they probably will be, you're going to want to flatbed scan them. At the very, very least, use the scanner on your phone. You can download apps on your phone, and they will take a scan that will at least be something. But the ideal, of course, is to get them scanned high quality scans as you're able to. You're going to want to save those digital files. Make sure that you save them off premise. When we give this talk sort of out in the world, when we do workshops and things, we talk about disasters and how if you lose your computer and you lose your hard drive, you've lost those digital files. So you're going to want to make sure that after your photos are scanned, that you've saved those digital files, that you've backed up and preserved them somewhere else, somewhere off-site, maybe with a relative in another state, maybe in a bank vault somewhere. Excuse me. But you want to make sure that those files are saved someplace other than just your desktop. Now, photos may hold on to mold, and mold can be in there that you can't even see it, that it's growing underneath the emulsified layer, growing in the paper. You may not be able to see it. You want to think really long and hard that once you have those photos saved by scanning them, you may want to get rid of them. You may need to throw them away anyway. Okay.
Okay, so Melody wanted me to also talk about important documents. She's told me stories of friends who were affected by the hurricane who didn't have their important documents in a safe place that was accessible. Um, you know, bank vaults are great, but if your bank vault washes away, if your, fireproof safe washes away, then what do you have? You need to have the backups, as Michelle said, for these important documents as well as for your photos. So think about all your important documents, the birth and death certificate, birth, marriage, death certificates, insurance documents, home inventories, health and medical records, insurance cards, all those things, and your financial documents, your bank account information, um, and all those things that you would need to have if your house washed away and you had to start over. Um, it's important to have those items preserved and accessible. So where do you save them? So forever.com is photo storage. That's just what it started out as, but it's so much more than photo storage. It is where Melody and I choose to keep our important documents so that we can have them accessible on our phones, on our tablets, on our computers. From anywhere we are, we can access those important documents, the account information, all of those things, as well as our important photos and memories. And forever.com is the only cloud storage provider that is permanent and private. There's no data mining, there's no subscription, no recurring costs. You buy storage one time and it becomes permanent for your lifetime. The guarantee is plus 100 years, your lifetime plus 100 years, but the goal is for many, many hundreds of years to come. So that is where we choose to keep our photos and our important documents. They also do digitization. They also do photo books and gifts. And it's a wonderful way to organize and share your memories. They also offer photo restoration. If you have these precious photos that you digitized, but they were damaged and you want to have them restored, they can help you with that. They also do genealogy research. They're just a multifaceted company that is just, their main goal is to help you preserve your memories for generations to come. And this QR code links to, it's Melody's link. So she gets credit for inviting you to Forever. And I hope that you will consider clicking on that link. If you sign up, you get a free 2 gigabyte account. You can start uploading your photos, your documents, and start storing your memories. And when you pay for storage, it becomes a permanent account. And that is where we always recommend, if you have photos and documents that are important to you that you want to preserve, that's what we recommend doing with them. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Our contact information is on the next slide. We know that every situation is different, and when your photos are damaged or you're not sure what to do with them, please reach out to us. We are happy to answer questions, and your memories are important to us too.
So we'd like to thank you for joining us. Phone number, email address, our website as well. We would love to be able to help with questions. get stuck on something and aren't quite sure what the next step is, give us a call or send us an email. We would be honored to be able to help you to bring those memories back.
Oh, goodness. Thank you both so much. That was so informative. I appreciate knowing what the right protocol is for water and mud damaged photos to salvage them. And I really appreciate the safety precautions. I've been watching my friends whose homes were inundated with water and mud, watching pictures of them in that full gear as they clean out
Mhm.
their homes. And um, yeah, and so my hope is that it's not too late for some of my friends and clients in this area to preserve the things that they were able to salvage from their space, and that they will be inspired to open up a free Forever account and start uploading those important memories and also documents. And Dorothy, I just want to thank you so much for helping me do all of this 7 years ago. Um, it's made a real difference. We had a death in the family. One of our siblings died a year and a half ago. And I was giving the eulogy, and I wanted to have photos playing while I gave the eulogy. And it was so easy to go on our Forever accounts. And, we as siblings, we have shared accounts, and you can share your Forever account with whoever you want to. The public can't find it. Nobody can search for it, but you can share it if you want. And to pick and choose those photos and put together a beautiful slideshow. Um, so it has really simplified my life. And I have to say, I was a hard sell. I used to consider myself a hard copy girl. I didn't want to listen to books on audio. I didn't want to, I just wanted everything tangible, tactile. But when I talked to my kids, they were not interested in having art. They're not interested in the baby books I stayed up late at night
Yeah.
to make beautiful for them. They want the digital images. And so it was really my kids that got me started on this. And Dorothy, you and Forever have just made it so easy. Um, Dorothy, maybe you can talk about um, how people can send in their boxes of home videos, audios, like, yeah, talk to us about how that works.
So it's a very easy process. You go to forever.com, use that link and the QR code, and that will take you right to a forever.com where you can sign up for a free 2 GB account. And if you click on the link to go to digitize, it will give you options for the size box that you need. There's even a project estimator. So you can say, well, I have, 15 VHS tapes and, 6 cassette tapes and, slides, whatever it is that you have that you want to digitize, you can put it in the project estimator. It will tell you how much it's going to cost. And you can order the size box that you need, and it comes to your home. You pack it, you ship it back. It's tracked every step of the way. So you know where it is in the whole process. And then, of course, it's returned back to you when you get the digital files that you can preserve in your Forever account or download them to your computer. It's just such an easy process, and so, so worth it to have those memories out of boxes and back into your life.
Yeah. And I just did this a few months ago. Um, my ex had sent with my youngest child a box of slides, and I was holding them up to the light and trying to figure out who's in these. I recognized a few of them. And so I just put all of those slides into baggies according to the subject and the person. And it was like white glove treatment. I got an email notifying me, we've received them. They're at this stage of the process all the way through. And yes, they were sent back to me. And yes, they were all uploaded under the category that I had put on those baggies. So it was a really easy, beautiful process. And now I don't have a bunch of slides sitting in the drawer, not doing anybody any good. Uh, yeah, so it's my husband is wildly thrilled that this entire bookshelf filled with heavy photo albums is no more. It absolutely is no more. I am still enough of a hard copy girl that when I did that major digitization in 2017, I got the photos back and I I put them in bags for each child. I have 5 children for each child in chronological order. So all of that has come into a small box that when I pass, my children will go into my closet and find the box, and each of them will take their envelope, and that will be that. There will be no bookshelf of photo albums and scrapbooks for them to sort through. I have just made their life so much easier.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate both of you making it so easy for people to know how to work with these damaged photos and know how to get their memories uploaded. Um, is there any last words of advice that you would have for people who are in the situation where they've got some damaged things and they're trying to, is there any words of advice that you have?
Yes, we didn't mention freezing. Um, all these wet photos should be in a freezer the very second you can get them in. It will help preserve the photo itself because it'll be frozen instead of waterlogged. It'll help the mold because if something sits in a freezer long enough, it at least knocks back the mold. So the very first thing you want to do is get everything in a freezer, and then take it out just a little stack at a time to go through the process that we explained.
I like that advice, a little stack at a
A
time.
little at a time.
Because if you've got 50 photos you're trying to process all at once, that might be more
It can
time.
be overwhelming. Yeah, it can be overwhelming. Just do little bite sizes that you feel like you can handle on that particular time.
Yeah. And this is good advice as well, because in Asheville right now, we can't use the water that comes out of the taps for anything other than flushing toilets.
Right.
So, and as you said, people will need to use distilled water for this. And so just doing it in small batches makes the most sense.
Hmm. And the freezer, I use the freezer in my professional life. They can sit there for a long time. There's no best by date, there's no sell by date. Those photos can sit in that freezer for months if they need to until you're able to get to them.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah,
Well, thank you both so much for being willing to come on with me
cool.
and share the best practices.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.